One of the best parts about Framer is how easy it is to create interactions and animations that are going to literally bring your website to life. In this video, I want to give you an overview of the effects that are essentially going to be the tools that will help you do just that. So let's jump right into the file. And this, by the way, is a free Framer template which you can download on from their website. And the very first thing that we're gonna do is we want to add an effect so that this text is going to fade in on appear. And the way that we can do this is by simply clicking on the text, and we can see that on the very right there is this effects panel. So the moment that we click on it, we have a few different options. We are essentially going to decide if the effect is going to appear on appear, pun intended, on hover, so whenever I hover over it, and the appear is essentially whenever the page loads up, on press, so when I click on it, and the loop and the drag, we're going to discuss this in more advanced parts. So let's get started with the basic one, which is the appear. Now, fade in is essentially going to tell Framer, hey, whenever this element appears on the website, we're simply going to give it a fade in effect. So if I click on it, not much happens because the fade in happens quite quickly. So what we can do is we can become and go into a more granular section. This is essentially going to be the transition, since we need to set a bit of a delay, maybe 0.7. Let's see how that works. And as you can see, there's going to be this delay which helps us see and visualize the element. Maybe you can even go with something which is a little bit less in time, so 0.4, something like that could be quite nice. All right, perfect. Now let's explore the effect also on the text below. So we can set it on appear again, and as you can see, there are all sorts of different effects that you can have. For example, I could set it to slide in left, and what that would do is essentially would give us this nice animation of the text sliding from the left. And there's all sorts of different effects that I invite you to just experiment with so that you can become familiar after this video. And we're simply going to keep it simple, so slide in from the left, and we can also keep this one, slide in from left, just to mix things up. So something like that is looking good. And now I want to create an effect where basically whenever I hover over this item, it grows. So let's go ahead and select this item. I'm going to go under the effects, and as you can see, we have the hover section, and as I click on it, the menu appears. And at this point, what I want to do is essentially tell Framer, hey, whenever it scales up 1.1 in multiple, so 1 is the original size of this element, and 1.1 is going to be just a little bit bigger. And at this point, we could also just keep the transition effect to spring. I think that looks should work pretty well. And let's click on the play button and let's try that. So as you can see, we have this nice little effect going on whenever I hover over this element. Now the very last thing that I want to do is to have this element right here in the main section to grow in a loop, since this is going to be an interesting effect that it's going to simply make the this section look more alive. So I'm going to click on a loop, and as you can see, we have very similar options. We're going to simply focus on the scale again, so 1.1, and I'm going to set this to mirror, and also probably the transition. I want this to be you can set these you know, is in or back in and out as you wish. There should be an entire video on this on YouTube where I went in this in quite detail, but basically what you want to do is to have a mirror effect, and the reason is going to become clear in just a moment. As I click on play, actually what I just realized is that we by default the rotate is going to be at 360, so you need to set this guy to 0, otherwise it's going to spin like at the roller coaster. Now you can see that the effect is being achieved, but I want this to grow in and out, almost like pumping like a heart instead of this rough loop. So what we're gonna do is we're simply going to click on mirror, and let's try this again. And as you can see now, this now we're talking. So this is exactly what I was looking for. So this effect, which we can slow down even a bit more. So we can easily do that by simply going over here, and if I actually try and go with the spring, let's actually see. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit too much. So as you can see, this is how it works. You have to simply experiment with these elements and just try different different things really. So what we want to do at this point is we want to apply another element here on the header, and this one is going to be on press. Now there isn't really a specific reason why I would want to do this from a UX perspective, but I still want to show you the press state as this is going to be quite interesting. So press is essentially when you click the mouse button. So as I go back, okay, this one is pumping a little bit too much. You can see that the moment that I press, I can have this effect. So this is going to be really useful, especially for buttons, or if you want to simply add Easter eggs on your website or things of that nature. And in case you wanted to remove any given effect, you can simply select the element, and you're going to notice here that under the effects panel we have the actual effect, and I can simply close it or delete it. Now if I go back, you can also see that you can add multiple effects to a given element. So keep that in mind, as there's going to be times where you want to mix and match specific effects in order to achieve a given outcome. Now my biggest recommendation at this point is to stop the video, jump on Framer on open a personal project or a template and start experimenting with these effects, because trying things out is going to be absolutely crucial for your learning. But as you can see, adding effects and these type of interactions is extremely easy on Framer, and it's such a godsend for us designers.